So I just got done seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day about an hour ago, and while there might be some recency bias here, I'm not going to deny this, I genuinely do think that this is the best Spider-Man movie to date, barring the Spider-Verse movies, of course. You know, we got to put that out there. And at the very least, if you still think Spider-Man 2 is better or on the same tier as this, I'm not going to argue with you too much on that. I don't think you can disagree, though, that this is definitely the best MCU Spider-Man movie that we have gotten to date. That is, you know, just a fact. And I actually really do like those movies, even though they had their problems, and I will admit to those problems. This movie has addressed all those problems, and I can genuinely say that I do not want to hear Tobey Maguire conversations anymore. I don't. This movie, for the most part, literally took Peter Parker off the page and put him on the big screen. That's how good this is to me. So this video is going to be a review, which is a bit different than what I usually do. So needless to say, there will be spoilers, but now let's get it done. Going into this movie, I'll admit, I was very optimistic. I have thoroughly enjoyed pretty much everything Destin Daniel Cretton has put to screen in the MCU. And especially coming off of the end of No Way Home, I was hyped to see Peter finally be alone. No mentor, no Stark Tech, or just anyone at all in his life. You know, the entire point of the movie is to teach Peter that isolation isn't the answer. He's been doing it at this point for 4 years by himself, and while his life as Spider-Man is thriving, Peter Parker's still a nobody. Nobody knows who he is. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have any connections at all. He doesn't go out of his way to meet people, and he doesn't even look like he has a job, which I will admit is one of my only gripes with the movie, because how is he paying rent and how is he affording all of these gadgets, bro? Especially that light bill, because that 3D printer is going crazy. He's printing all types of stuff off that printer and his suit. So that's my only thing I will say, you know, about that. But I had my fears that they would try too soon to put him back with the people he loved, especially after hearing that Zendaya and Jacob, I can't remember his last name, would be returning for this movie. But the way they use them in the film is just so realistic to me, and that's one of the things that I love. They aren't as involved in anything like they were in the previous film. Ned and MJ are more akin to damsels in distress this time around, which makes sense in the context of the film, because I'm usually not the type of guy who, like, you know, if the love interest is like some damsel in distress, like, oh yeah, I'm eating that shit up. Like, no, like, don't use your female lead to boost up your male lead, that kind of stuff. They have no memory of ever being involved in a superhero lifestyle or being friends with somebody who's involved in a superhero lifestyle. So outside of their own natural intellect, they aren't supposed to be capable in any way, shape, or form. The entire reason MJ takes a bigger role in the film is because Jean used her powers to figure out that she meant something to Peter. She's very important to Peter, using her as a way to stop Peter from interfering with her plans. Which, speaking of, I was definitely against having Jean Grey be the villain of the film because of its implications in terms of her being a mutant, but it was handled way better than I expected. Jean in the comics, to me at least, has been very boring, and I have seen online that people have had the same pretty much sentiment that I have. And I hate how they used to just, oh my god, I absolutely despise how they just bounce her around between Scott and Logan as love interests, or have her be the Phoenix or something, right? That Insomniac Wolverine game, I was so hyped for that game till I found out that they're making Jean Grey the love interest of Wolverine. Bro, get this 5'8", 200-year-old man away from this 20-year-old or 30-year-old woman. Go find somebody your own age. There's people out there that are that old, Logan. Leave her alone. Let her and Scott be together. That's a tangent though, you know, whatever. So having her here as a villain gave her that independence. Her reasoning is also very justified. She's just trying to save her sister, who has been kidnapped by Damage Control, which is so clearly setting the groundwork for Trask and other mutant hate organizations, which I genuinely think is so good. And also Metzger is his name. He's also a big X-Men villain in the comics. I didn't know that at the time. I heard the name, was it Bill Metzger? And I was like, why does that sound familiar? But it's William Metzger. So yeah, he's a pretty big anti-mutant guy in the comics. So while Jean's actions are justified, I love how it sets up a legitimate reason as to why the public would fear mutants, which I still don't necessarily agree with, because you would think that they would just fear all superpowered individuals, but that's not the movie's fault. It's more of a Marvel Comics thing. But also, bigotry doesn't really have any type of reasoning behind it in any way, shape, or form, so I guess that's also a thing. But the parallels in this movie are just really well done to me. I love them. Jean mocking Peter for not accepting the evolution of his powers or the mutation of his powers, while she readily accepts hers, were beautiful. I loved it. It was so good. I was like, wow, I see what you're doing. Bruce and Peter wanting to cage themselves and the quote unquote monster within them was good. Again, versus Jean letting herself be herself. With Bruce, I can understand. In Bruce's case, it's understandable. We have seen that the Hulk can be a force for good, you know, in some ways. So that's the one thing I will say. But, you know, another thing is that I absolutely loved the return of Savage Hulk. I don't exactly like that they were just doing that now. At this point, we're just doing Hulk stories in other movies. I really do wish that the Hulk would just get his own solo movies. And I have heard that Mark Ruffalo has pitched it to Daniel Cretton to have a Hulk solo movie, but you know, the rights with Universal and all that kind of stuff. But here it was really well done to me. I love how they handled the Hulk. It wasn't like how in Endgame he was this joke and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're finally back to a proper Savage Hulk. It's been so long since we've seen Hulk actually just Hulk out and do Hulk things, right? It makes sense why he's here also. Having Jean be the one to connect everybody because she's using others versus Peter trying his best to push them out was fantastic. You know, it forced Peter to confront those people that he's trying to push off in his life. It forces Peter to open up to people.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. What the?
Ignore how jarring this transition is. I just want to take some time to say thank you guys so much for the support that you've been showing on the last video. As of right now, we're almost at 25,000 views, bro. We're at 24,000 and climbing. We might hit 30,000 by the morning. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for the support. Everyone who's been subscribing, commenting, liking, I really do appreciate you. But you know, if you're enjoying this video, please consider leaving a subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a like. But let's get back to it. Frank Castle was also a very welcome surprise for me in this movie. He was honestly one of the best parts of the movie. At first, I was a little bit iffy on his inclusion, not because I think that these characters shouldn't interact or that I think Bernthal's Punisher isn't good. It's just that I was scared that they would neuter him too much, because I do think the MCU hasn't really had an idea of what to do with Frank since he's been reintroduced. Also, I will touch on the fact that this relationship dynamic is very much carried by the fact that Bernthal and Tom Holland have a very good relationship with each other. They banter off each other so well. It was fantastic. And also the fact that he's the one who helped Tom get the part of Spider-Man by helping with his audition, that's also a full circle moment that I really do love. Here though, I don't think I would have asked for anyone else to be the accompanying force to Peter in this movie. The movie managed to keep who the character is intact while adding to him in really great ways. His relationship with Spider-Man of being equals or reluctant partners was done so well that it felt like it was genuinely coming off of the comic book page. Peter doesn't like that Frank is willing to kill, and he makes that very clear from the start. He doesn't try to appeal to Frank's nicer side because there really isn't one. And this is also a thing that's addressed in the movie by Jean Grey. Yes, Frank has his issues and he's a caring guy, but deep down he's broken. He's also a foil for what Peter could become if he fully immerses himself in this vigilante lifestyle, which again, the parallels in this movie are just mwah. I love them, they're yummy. But he asserts himself. The way he kicks Frank out of the battle van, again, feels right out of the comics. Also, they keep Frank at his pay grade. They literally mention it in the movie. He doesn't want to fight the Hulk when the time comes, and when he does encounter Jean, he's handled just like that, readily. He shouldn't be able to do much. He's not incompetent by any means, but he's literally just a guy with good aim and loads of weapons against Spider-Man, one of the most powerful telepaths in Marvel with Jean Grey, and the literal Hulk. So if he's out here competing with them for real, I'm gonna call cap on them. That's bullshit. But one thing I believe this movie takes into account that a lot of other Spider-Man media, except I guess Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, is the fact that Peter, since, you know, him and Spider-Man are the same, is also a dick. And I genuinely do like that. He's a wisecracking, sarcastic asshole to his villains. Yes, he's nice to his loved ones and all that, but his villains and a lot of other heroes are annoyed by him due to his mouth and the fact that he never shuts up. It's a thing. Spider-Man is like a less annoying version of Deadpool, and I make this comparison because we all know how annoying Deadpool can be. So I just want to give you a reference there. I'm not saying that, you know, Spider-Man is Deadpool or whatever that, you know, however you want to take that out of context. But touching back on the MJ thing for a bit, before I stop talking about the story, I love how they handled her finding the note. It's not some magical answer, which the movie did riff on when Jean did take over MJ and Peter thought that it was really MJ. But she doesn't have any of those memories that Peter has, so she wouldn't care for Peter, which is also mentioned again when they riffed on the break the spell trope. She's like, Jean literally says it. She's like, oh, you think some true love's kiss is gonna break this spell that you casted? No, that's not how it is. And he was like, oh, like she would vomit if she heard this. But with Ned though, I guess it did by the end of the movie, or that could also be him associating the fact that MJ called Spider-Man Peter, and here Peter introduces himself as Peter, and he's putting the dots together like, oh, you're Spider-Man, which is a thing that I think is the most likely thing, because I don't think that they would walk back the fact that MJ didn't find out because of the note and all that kind of stuff, and here him just doing the handshake is what does it. But also I did see a theory that says that because Ned is magically inclined, as we learned in No Way Home, that may have some effect on him remembering Peter and all that kind of stuff. But before we wrap up, I also do want to say that this is the most lived in and realistic the MCU has felt in years. Spider-Man doesn't feel like some CGI creation on screen anymore. It's a real guy in a real suit, because it's a real guy in a real suit that they put on set. Who knew that if you just put a real guy in a real suit in a real place, the movie would feel even more real? The action and the swinging scenes are the best that they have ever been in the MCU, because they are. And hey, Watts, I saw that tweet that you, or that thing you said in the interview. You know, the home trilogy was cool, but this is how you make a swinging scene, buddy. You can do it outside. Also, just the use of the characters was fantastic. I loved it. You know, there's so much in here. By all means, it really shouldn't work, because if we're looking at The Amazing Spider-Man 2, bro, there was so much in that movie that it should not have worked, but it does in this movie, because the movie has a through line, and all the other characters in the movie serve to push that through line forward, as they should. And speaking of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I will say this: I still think that in terms of visual presentation, they still haven't beaten those movies. I see people online talking about like this is how you do a swinging scene, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, we finally like have a swinging scene that's better. No, we haven't. No. That first swing in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, bro, that's just still gas. It's still better. It's playing right now. Come on, bro. It's saucy. I love it. It's so good. And Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, in terms of, again, presentation, still feels like the most realistic Spider-Man, which is what they were going for. But this is what helps to make the movie feel like a literal live action comic. The fact that the characters that aren't just Spider-Man characters, they're other superheroes or other major characters in the universe are just a part of this story. And I love when comic book stories do that, bro. And I love that they've done it here. Brand New Day has honestly, in my opinion, given us the definitive adaptation of a Spider-Man story in the MCU. At its core, it is a personal story. It's not some world-ending threat that makes Spider-Man stories great. The interpersonal struggle is why we relate to the characters so much. So it is very fitting that the one to save the day isn't even directly Peter. It was May and her advice and messages to him that are then translated to Jean once she enters into his mind. And in my opinion, this might be the best MCU movie post-Endgame. And, you know, I expected a lot from it. I really did. And I thought it was going to be good, but I still had some very nice surprises in here. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I genuinely do recommend. I cannot recommend it enough. If you love Spider-Man, if you love superhero movies, if you love the MCU and all that kind of stuff, honestly, if you just love movies, I do highly recommend this movie. It is just a great movie overall. But that's the video. You know, let me know what you guys think down below about the movie if you've seen it already, you know. And as usual, if you made it this far And if you have made it this far, you know, you are enjoying the video. So please consider leaving a like, a subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.